Good day everyone. Today's video is kind of an awkward one for me to film because it concerns something which I already made a video of a very long time ago when I first got it almost 2 years ago. However, in addition to being extremely long, that video had a lot of errors in it, and overall, knowing what I do now, it just doesn't meet my standards anymore, so I've removed it. I actually made 2 videos about this item. And I'm going to replace them both with this one video, which should hopefully be a lot shorter and have a lot less factual errors. What I have here is a gold Burgess Safari Lite vintage fluorescent lantern. I got this for Christmas of 2012. It was bought on eBay for a total of $35. And as you can see, it is in the box, mint in the box. And what I'll do first is just give you a look at it here. Nice graphic on the front here. Gold Burgess Safari fluorescent lantern operates on both batteries and AC house current. This is indeed a very special and unique fluorescent lantern for reasons I'll detail in a few moments. Both the same on the top there. Box has a built-in handle. For camping, boating, portable lighting. Comes complete with AC cord and 2 heavy-duty Z46 batteries, more on that later, which provide up to 80 hours of service. Weatherproof and completely safe. High-low switch for battery conservation. A product of Gold Inc., St. Paul, Minnesota. The model number was 165/3, and there's another picture of it there. Same on the back. Same on the side, nothing on the bottom. There is what appears to be a price tag. However, it's too faded. I cannot read what it said. It was something $7.99. $37, $47.99, I don't know. So, let's open up the box here and take a look at it. Inside the box, you get this styrofoam insert. And we just lift the cover up here. And there's the lantern. And we lift it up. And there you go. So I'll put that over here. Grab the power cord. Here's the power cord for it. And I'll get the packaging up out of the way. So here's what it looks like. This was made in 1972. And this is a very unique fluorescent lantern. First of all, the Burgess Safari Lite was the pioneer fluorescent lantern. This was, in fact, the very first completely portable, self-contained fluorescent lantern. There were earlier fluorescent light fixtures which ran off of low voltage DC. However, they did not take batteries. You had to plug them into a cigarette lighter or whatever. This was the first completely self-contained portable lantern. The Burgess Safari Lite was introduced in 1966. At that time, Burgess was part of another company called Servel, and then in 1967, Burgess became part of yet another company called Clevite, and so Clevite manufactured the Burgess Safari Lite, and then in 1971, Burgess was again moved into Gold, so a company called Gold owned Burgess, and this lantern was manufactured under Gold. And from what I can tell from my research, the Burgess Safari Lite was discontinued around 1975. This one's from 72, so it's one of the later ones. Second very unique thing about this lantern is that it is preheat, whereas most fluorescent lanterns in existence, I'm talking like 99.9% of them, use an instant start ballast. This lantern actually uses a preheat ballast, and of course that's really awesome, and of course it's a lot better for the lamp too, so the lamp will last a lot longer, and I'll go into detail about how exactly this lantern works later. So if we look at it here, this lantern takes an 8-watt fluorescent lamp. I'll get to the lamp later. It's an F8T5 lamp. We get a plastic lens there. Here we have our on-off switch. This is a manual preheat lantern. So what you do is to turn it on, you hold the on switch in and that preheats it. and when you let go, the lamp starts, and then you just press it again to turn it off. We have a power miser switch. This reduces, when it's in low, it reduces the power going to the lamp, and it makes your batteries last a bit longer. Note there that it indicates to always have it on high when you're starting the lamp. On the back here, you have two little eyelets there to hang it up, suspend it from a ceiling or whatever if you wanted to. And I believe that new these came with chains that you could hang it from. I didn't get them with this one. There's the gold Burgess nameplate there. Come around to the other side. Nice big Safari Lite nameplate there. Got a patent number, model 165/3, Burgess battery division. Here's a switch to switch it between AC power or battery power if you had batteries in it. And there's where you plug in your AC power cord, which I did get. There's another nameplate down there. Now, early Safari Lites, manufactured under Cervell and later Clevite, were a bit different than the later ones manufactured by Gold. The earlier Safari Lites, they had the model number 165/2, and the difference was they had separate on-off buttons, and the reflector was chrome instead of this white reflector. And then the later ones, like this one made by Gold, they had the model number 165/3, the single on-off switch, and the white reflector. On the bottom, we have two screws, so you can remove this cover here, and that's how you insert the batteries. And while the cover's removed, you can remove the plastic lens to replace the fluorescent lamp if you had to. It says on the bottom, positive of both batteries in this direction, and it has an arrow there, so you align the batteries right. Remove screws to replace batteries. It's got a patent number, and it says made in the USA, which is always awesome. So here's the power cord. You can tell it's a pretty old cord. Now on the other end, it's a standard, what I call a stereo power cord connector, because it seems you always find this type of connector on boom boxes and stuff. So that's pretty nice, and it's non-polarized. Physically, this feels very, pretty high quality. The body is plastic, but the top and the bottom are metal, as well as this back part here. And from what I can tell, the reflector assembly is metal as well, and it feels very high quality. Now regarding batteries, that's one other very strange and unique thing about this lantern. This lantern does not use standard batteries. It used proprietary batteries which are no longer in existence. They haven't been made in some 25 or 30 years. The batteries, the only companies I know of that made them were Burgess and Eveready. The Burgess version was called the Burgess Z46. The Eveready version was the Eveready number 646. This thing took two of them batteries. Each battery was 69 volts, which is certainly very strange. They were quite large batteries. They were probably about that square. They were prismatic, and well, I can show you on the lantern. They were pretty tall from the bottom of the lantern up to about where my hand is how tall they were. They were carbon zinc batteries. I don't know what their capacity would have been. I think probably 4 or 5 amp hours. But Burgess advertised runtime of up to 80 hours when you use the lantern on low, and that's really quite something. On the earlier Safari Lites, they advertised up to 100 hours, but on the later ones they advertised 80 hours, and that's pretty good considering this was a very early, in fact the earliest fluorescent lantern. So indeed, unfortunately, you can no longer buy batteries for these fluorescent lanterns, and something that frustrates me is if you go on the online flashlight museum, if I remember right, the URL is flashlightmuseum.com, they actually have an entry for the Burgess Safari Lite. And if you go to that entry, there's literally like 100 comments, all of them people asking where they can buy batteries. And that frustrates me so bad, because you would think if someone read the first 99 comments, they wouldn't post another comment of their own asking the exact same thing. it just, I mean, you'd think they'd get the idea that they're probably not gonna find batteries, but indeed, you'll find comment after comment of someone asking where to buy batteries. But anyway, when I first got this thing, I my original plan, because I did want to try getting this thing running on batteries. My plan was to contact YouTube user Battery Maker, who used to have a quite proficient hobby in making, with his own two hands, reproductions of vintage batteries which are no longer in existence. So what I did was I messaged him and asked him if he could possibly make me a couple of reproduction Z46 batteries. But unfortunately, at that time, he had just decided to quit making custom reproduction batteries, so that went out the window. But oh well. However, there are other possible ways to get these running on battery power again. Probably what most people would do would be to gut out all the internal components and install a modern, low-voltage DC-powered electronic instant start ballast. Well, I would never do that. Preheat's way better, and I wouldn't want to modify a vintage piece like this so much anyway. Another way to go would be possibly, if you go on eBay, you can buy those DC-DC step-up converters, which will take like 12 volts or, you know, whatever low voltage, and they can take that and step it up to like 60 volts. So the original batteries, the two of them together, had a nominal voltage of 138 volts. Well, if you were to get two of those step-up converters and attach them to two, you know, 12-volt lead-acid batteries or whatever, and stuff it all in the battery compartment, you'd get a nominal voltage of 120 volts. So that would certainly work. And then the third solution is something that someone I know has actually successfully done on their own Safari Lite. That was done by YouTube and lighting gallery user Ultralume, who owns, I know one of these, maybe he owns two, I forget. But what he did was he actually, he basically did what someone like Battery Maker would do. He custom manufactured two batteries and he made them to physical specification of the original Z46 batteries. And inside those battery cases, he stuffed enough AAA batteries to add up to the 69 volts or around there. So he made two batteries like that. And altogether, I think it was like 96 AAA batteries that made up those two reproduction batteries, and they work excellent. And that's probably the best way to go, because you don't have to, you know, use a step-up converter or something, and you won't lose a bit of power as waste heat in a device like that. But of course, the problem is that 96 AAA batteries can run you quite a bit of money. So that's the only problem there. So I'd say probably, in my personal opinion, the best way to go would be a couple of step-up converters and a couple of low, you know, just cheap low-voltage batteries, and that would be pretty neat. Now I'll show you the battery compartment. So I've removed those two screws, and this plate comes right off. For repair, ship post-paid to Gold Inc. Burgess Division, Freeport, Illinois. Attention W.R. Ross, whoever that is. So, we can look inside. And that's what it looks like in there. You can see the battery contacts. The batteries, they just slid right in. And you can also pull out the reflector, just like that. And you can remove the lamp. So, we'll take a look at the lamp. It's actually a quite unique lamp. Now, early Safari Lites, the ones made by Serval and later by Clevite, they use General Electric F8T5 CW lamps. But the later ones, like mine, used this. Now the etch on this lamp, I've kind of accidentally mostly worn it off, but this is a Norelco F8T5 33, which was made in Holland. Norelco being Philips's North American name, because at that time they couldn't use the Philips name in North America because of the similarly named Philco. But indeed, while this is a North American market lamp, It's very unique in that it uses a European market color 33 it's called, instead of just a standard cool white. This lamp is the first color 33 lamp that I've ever seen in person, and I have to say that I love the color. Color 33 is 4300 degrees Kelvin in color, so slightly cooler than cool white, which is 4100 degrees. And I think it's an absolutely beautiful color. In fact, I would say it's my favorite fluorescent lamp color. It's similar to cool white, except of course it is slightly cooler, and it has kind of a purplish tint to it, and I think it looks very, very nice. So, we'll put that back in there, and put this thing back together. Now, finally, as for how these things work, this information would not be possible without, again, Ultralume, who also tore apart one of his Safari Lites to see what was inside. So on AC power, these things run using a standard magnetic ballast, simple as that. And when you switch into the low mode, how it actually reduces the power to the lamp is that when you switch it to low mode, it introduces a resistor in series with the magnetic ballast. And that resistor, it's a power resistor, it's rated for 10 watts and it's 600 ohms. So that's how it works on AC. When you switch to battery power, the magnetic ballast, of course, can no longer serve as the ballast. Inductors require AC current to work. So when you're on battery power, the main ballast is a different resistor. It's the same spec, 10 watts at 600 ohms, and when you switch to low mode, it introduces that first resistor in series with it. So on battery power in low mode, the lamp is running using two resistors in series as the ballast. But interestingly, now, while resistors work to ballast a fluorescent lamp, they can't provide an inductive kick like a magnetic ballast does. With a magnetic ballast, when you preheat the lamp and you cancel out the preheating, the ballast, like any inductor, provides a high voltage kick, and that aids to start the lamp. Well, you can't get that with a resistive ballast. So when you're running on battery power, the magnetic ballast is actually still connected in series with the lamp and with the resistive DC ballast. The only difference is, of course, it doesn't help to ballast the lamp, but it's still able to provide an inductive kick when you start the lamp. So that's quite interesting, and that's pretty much how it all works. And another great thing about this fluorescent lantern, compared to modern fluorescent lanterns, is that the lamp is not only run at full power on AC power, when you're switched to the high mode, of course, but it is also run at full power off the batteries, so the lamp is not being underdriven, and between that and the fact that it's preheat, the lamp will last a very long time, whether you're on AC power or battery power. So, without further ado, let's plug this thing in and fire it up. Alright, we're plugged in, let's fire it up. And there you go. And that Norelco Color 33 lamp, very nice color, very bright. So let's look at the kilowatt meter. There's our voltage. There's our current, 0.14 amps. That's absolutely perfect for an 8-watt lamp. So it's getting a perfect 8 watts of power. There's our power draw, just less than 2 watts being created as waste heat by the ballast. And there's our power factor. If we'll switch it into low mode, you can see the lamp gets dim, and there's our current, 0.06 amps. That's less than half of full rate of full power. So now the 8-watt lamp is doing just a little less than 4 watts of power. So indeed, when you're running on batteries, that should extend your battery life by a fair bit. And you'll know that a resistor has been introduced, because if we look at our power factor, it's gone up a lot. Original power factor was 0.5 something, now it's 0.88, because there's that resistor in there now. And if we look at our total power draw, 7 watts. So a little bit more waste heat created, because of course resistors always create waste heat. So there you go. Now, something interesting I'll show you is that while the high-low switch indicates to always start the lamp on high, you can start it on low. The only thing is you have to preheat it for a long time because, of course, not only is power to the lamp reduced, but power to the cathodes are reduced as well when you're preheating. So the cathodes will just barely glow. You might or might not be able to see cathodes just barely glowing. And there it started. Now it's actually pretty easy to understand why a fluorescent lantern that works like this one does never caught on. Now, I haven't mentioned yet, but the retail price of the Burgess Safari Lite was $30. That was about $180 today, so definitely a fair bit of money back then. But the biggest reason was because this thing required those proprietary high voltage batteries. Now when you bought a Burgess Safari Lite, it actually came with 2 batteries in the box. But if you wanted to buy 2 new batteries, they would run you about $20. So really, 2/3 of the Burgess Safari Lite's retail price was just in the batteries. And yeah, batteries were extremely expensive, and of course now they're not even produced at all. So that was definitely the biggest obstacle in a preheat, magnetic, and resistive ballast-based fluorescent lantern. And the second reason is that the resistive ballast is, of course, extremely inefficient compared to a modern electronic ballast. Running on batteries, on high mode, this lantern uses almost 20 watts of power. The lamp itself only uses 8 watts, but the other 12 watts is being lost as heat in the ballast. You know, the current going through the resistors creates so much waste heat. On low mode, where the lamp only uses 4 watts of power, total system power usage was over 8 watts. And that's the reason a high voltage resistive ballast you know, is not really feasible in a portable battery powered lantern. It just wastes so much power as heat. But it did do the job for the time when electronic ballasts were a brand new concept. Now finally, here's a brightness test. And there you go. Very, very bright. Look at that. Lights the whole room right up. And if I switch it to low mode here, there you go. Even on low mode, this thing is brighter than my next brightest fluorescent lantern, the Rayovac Sportsman 180. This trumps that even on low. And now back to high. Now if you want one of these, you're in luck, because for some reason eBay is absolutely littered in these. You can pick one of these up in working, you know, very good working condition for under $15. Sometimes if you're lucky, you can get one of these for under $10 shipped. Like, eBay is full of these. There's always 10 or 20 at any one time on eBay. And if you want, you can get one in the box like I did. You know, if you want a later one like this one, you'll find one. If you want an earlier one with the chrome reflector and the separate buttons and the GE lamp, you'll find one. And these things almost always come with the original lamp. I've never seen one on eBay that had a replacement lamp in it. And usually, you know, for most of these, they weren't used very much in their original life. So the lamp is usually mostly unused and in very good condition. Now something cool is if you go on Google Books and search Burgess Safari Lite, you can find quite a few old advertisements. Here's one from Popular Science, May 1966, when the Safari Lite had just come out. There you can see an older one there. You can see the separate on-off buttons. And it says, the new Burgess Safari Lite has a 12-inch fluorescent tube that runs off high-voltage dry batteries or AC current. It's made of high-impact polystyrene and stainless steel for rugged outdoor use. Batteries give you about 100 hours of light. $29.50. And another really cool thing I found is this document here. I'll link this in the description. But this is an evaluation by the United States Army of the Burgess Safari Lite because they actually considered deploying this thing to troops in Vietnam. They thought it'd be quite useful to them, and you can read all about it. They go into detail about, you know, how well it works and how tough it is and all this stuff. And I don't know if they ever actually did deploy the Safari Lite. Maybe they did, and maybe that's why eBay is so full of them. I don't know. But basically the consensus of this evaluation is that they did recommend the Safari Lite to be deployed, but only if modifications were made to it to make it more waterproof and more dirt-proof. And also I believe they expressed concern about the requirement for proprietary batteries in this as well. Actually, gosh, we actually have a member on Lighting Gallery who was in the Vietnam War. He was in the military, and he did have a Burgess Safari Lite. Either him or someone he knew during the war in Vietnam had a Burgess Safari Lite, and he said it never really got used because if you had to order new batteries for it, they took like weeks or months or something to get into Vietnam. So that was really kind of the issue there. Well, that's about all there is to show of the Burgess Safari Lite preheat 8-watt fluorescent lantern from 1972. I think this thing is really cool. It's definitely one of the cooler fluorescent light fixtures that I've ever owned, and it's a really nice vintage piece, really cheap and easy to obtain on eBay, and it just looks so cool. I'm hoping someday I can do something to make this thing portable again, to be able to run off battery power. That would be sweet. But until then, you know, it's cool even just sitting here plugged in. I occasionally use it to help light this room. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.